Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Conversation with Joe. Today, we're receiving Miss Natasha Hill, and we're going to talk about anxiety. Anxiety, these days is one of the most common mental illness in our society. But among the 40 million people in the state who are suffering from it, based on the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, only 36.9 people are receiving treatment for it. And mostly it's because either people are ashamed to come forward or simply because they're not even aware that they're suffering of this disease. So I'm going to now add Natasha on the line, and we're going to go around the topic, and I hope everybody gonna have a great time.
Welcome again. How are
I'm
you?
good, and you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us this
You're
afternoon.
welcome.
So, Natasha, could you please let everybody know about yourself?
Sure. Okay, so my name is Natasha. I am 36 years old. I like to go by the creative heart worshiper. um, I have a BA in English, and I'm an aspiring poet, writer, artist, singer, anything creative, you name it. I love to do.
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier today, we know that depression is a mental illness, but based on your own word, could you define for us what is anxiety? I'm sorry, I said depression. I don't know why.
It's okay. Yes, so anxiety is basically a nervous disorder that kind of affects your, like you start to worry about something or an event that you are, feeling uncertain about. And it typically comes with a compulsive like behavior or panic attacks.
Okay. And a lot of people might be actually going through this and they're not even aware because it's something that, among other things that people don't really talk about. So, how can someone know or kind of like pinpoint that that's what they're going through?
Well, anxiety definitely comes with some common symptoms. So, someone might be feeling very nervous and restless or very tense. They might have the sense of they're in danger or panic. They might have some increased heart rates, breathing rapidly, sweating, trembling. But it might be going on long term. They might be constantly experiencing it on more than one basis.
Okay. And is there whenever you feel like that, you're going through all of this stress, is there anything you can do that, can calm you down or help you refocus?
Um, Definitely. Uh, One, there's some tactics, of course, that people can use. Um, Deep breathing, a deep breath in and then a slow breath out. Sometimes help. Sometimes just changing your focus. So myself, I was kind of taught this tactic where I'll look for something of the same color within the room, just to kind of ground yourself and kind of draw yourself back to the present moment. Um, and there's always like whatever things you do to bring peace or to release your stress. So whether it's watching something funny, whether it's exercise, whether it's singing, for me, art, whatever thing you find that helps to give you that sense of peace and bring you back again to that moment, that you're right there in the present moment.
Okay. And that we kind of like, the stress can get so intense that it becomes an handicap. So I know you mentioned some technique to calm yourself down and everything, but how can you make sure that this what you're going through doesn't interfere with your everyday life?
Uh, to make sure it doesn't interfere with your everyday life, I would say if you find that it's interfering with your everyday life, I would definitely say to seek help with it. Like for myself, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, and so I do take an anxiety medication. Um, Thankfully, it has decreased where I'm now only on it one time a day. And before I was on it 3 times a day, a very high dosage. So I definitely would say to seek help if you do feel like you're experiencing it more often than usual, and definitely just really trying to find out what helps you, because it's different for everybody. What might work for someone else
Okay.
might not work for you.
And among other mental issues, we know that anxiety is one of the things that people tend to not understand, right? So and it can be very difficult, first of all, to accept the diagnosis and then living with it and explain to other people around you. So while going through all of this, what were the best resources that kind of help you going through it?
Um, and that's very true. It can be very difficult, and especially because the more you start to deal with it, symptoms can change. So what kind of helped me was talking about it with someone, talking about when I experience a different symptom, to make sure that that's what it is, to make sure that that's where it's resulting from. Um, so I do go to therapy for it. There's times where I've had to call hotlines to calm myself down and pass the moment, um, using the techniques, like I said, that the therapists give me. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much where I got most of my resources from.
Okay. And um, what did you learn? What is the most important thing you have learned throughout this whole process? If you don't mind sharing with us.
Sure. I would say the most important thing that I've learned is knowing and understanding what those stresses are for me, and trying my best to stay away from those stressors, or to lessen them as much as I can. And I think really just learning and understanding what anxiety is all about, and understanding that, it's being sensitive to the fact that it is different for everyone else. And I had to come to that understanding of, how it affects me personally. And sometimes people don't always understand that. Sometimes people don't get why you might do the things you do or behave the way you behave. And, it is kind of hard to get people to understand it sometimes, but, being okay with that.
And which lead to my next question. I wanted to ask, what is the thing that you find that people is having harder time to understand with anxiety?
Um, Sometimes they're just like, why are you afraid of that? Get over it. Especially with me being a Christian, right? Sometimes with me being a Christian, they're like, no, you just need to rebuke that and keep it moving. But, sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes, honestly, you don't have control over, how those reactions happen or how those symptoms come up sometimes. Because sometimes it comes up unawarely. Because your body can be going through that stress and you don't even know it. And or you can be put in a position where there's a trigger and,
Mhm.
and it happens. And sometimes people don't understand that that's where it's coming from. And, they're ready to just say, pray about it and it's going to be okay. And sometimes it's not that easy, or that's not just the only answer.
Okay. And you just mentioned triggers, and sometimes, especially for people who've been through, traumatic event, um, we have a lot of different triggers, and sometimes we're not even aware of some of the triggers that we have until we're exposed to them. So, what advice would you give to somebody about, managing their triggers and how to not going full blast, like, exact panic attack or
Um, I would definitely say learn what your triggers are. Pay close attention to it. Um, Take notice to how things affect you, the way it affects you, what happens when it affects you. That way, the next time it shows up, you know better how to deal with it. You know better how to handle it. Um, I think that's definitely the biggest thing. Is just really you have to know your triggers in order for you to be able to, cope with them or deal with them.
okay. And how do you also as well you deal with other people you're surrounding not understanding the issue, because sometimes some people can be very mean and then they're thinking they're helping. They might actually tell you stuff and you know they trigger you. So how do you manage and you deal with helping others understand that this is real? It's not like something that you're making up, and you actually your body is going through it. And it's okay, like it's okay to talk about it. It's like a disease like any other disease. So how do you manage, like the hurt that might come with people action, reaction, their word, and not understanding your situation?
um, that's good. Took me a long time, very long time. Took me a very long time to get there. And I think even now, sometimes I'm still trying to figure it out. Um, I would say that sometimes you literally have to just speak up and advocate for yourself, um, to try to get people to understand. And if they don't understand, you have to be okay with that. Because if you don't, it'll lead you to that worst space, to that depression, to that darker space. And if you want to stay out of those areas, sometimes you just really have to say, listen, that hurt me. Listen, I know you don't understand it. I know you don't understand this is why I do what I do, but um, I just need for you to try. So just really trying to advocate sometimes for yourself.
And thank you. I know that in spite of all of this, you're still able to manage, and you've been doing a lot of great things lately. So among of all of these different things that you've been accomplishing, what do you feel is your biggest accomplishment until like now?
um, Biggest accomplishment. right now. Um, I would definitely want to say um, finally understanding kind of how um, anxiety affects me and not being in denial. I think that's a big one for me because I was very in denial that, this is what I was dealing with. And two would be that uh, I learned to find things to cope with it, like art therapy. And now art therapy has took me to a place where I didn't even know that there was an artist in me. And now my artwork is hanging in people's houses. People are buying my artwork. And that stems from, something that was painful for me. So I think that's definitely one of the biggest.
And Tasha, where do you see yourself in a few years?
In a few years, I hope to be a published poet, one, an author. I hope that my art is hanging in even more people's houses. Maybe even an art show of my own. And I hope to have a family. Yeah, I hope to be married with kids.
Thank you so much, Dash. What advice would you give anybody who's currently watching and who's struggling with either accepting the fact that they suffering with this, or that will help them going through it after, going through the whole denial phase, receiving it and working towards it?
Um, I would definitely tell them that one, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay um, to it's okay to be angry about it. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, but don't stay there. Step out, figure out whatever way you need to reach out for help. If it's therapy, if it's seeing a doctor. Uh, if you cannot manage it in yourself, reach out and get the help that you need. Um, you might just need a coping skill. You know what I mean? You might just need to find out what helps you. Medication doesn't necessarily have to be the answer. You just might need to find out what helps you to deal with your triggers and to deal with whatever is bringing you that anxiety.
Thank you. And like you mentioned, you've been doing a lot of great stuff. Your painting, your work, your singing. So where can people find you if they, might either want to buy your work, see your work, be familiar with it, or connect with you if they will have any questions about the topic? Where can people reach to you after this?
Let's see. They can reach me here on Instagram, the Creative Heart Worshipper. They can reach me on Facebook as Natasha Hill or Dying to Live, the Creative Heart Worshipper. And both of those pages also have the link to my blog page, and which I talk about some of those things on there as well. So any of those platforms.
Thank you so much, Dasha, for being so courageous and coming on today and share your story with us. I hope it's going to empower somebody and help them realize that they're not alone. There's no shame. There's no need to be feeling ashamed about this. It's million of people going through it. And if you are going through it, there's help available. You can reach out to the hotlines. There's the association, Anxiety and Depression Association in America. And you can find help on there. And I think firstly, the most important thing is to realize and accept the fact that it is an issue and work towards it. And I'm gonna end with that saying that I always say, whatever you're going through, you're never alone. You need to speak up and speak out. So thank you so much, Tasha, for sharing your story with us
You're
today.
welcome.
And I don't know if anybody have any questions. They can put it in the chat. Otherwise, we're gonna end now. So once again, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll meet you back next Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye.